Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. You made it to another Spotlight Hour, a very special Spotlight Hour, I must say, today. And what do we do in these Spotlight Hours, you might ask? In these things, we are highlighting content creators, or rather TTRPG creators in the Daggerheart scene that have created something truly amazing and definitely need a spotlight. And that's what you're here for. To everyone who doesn't know this channel or who doesn't know us, this is fine. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for coming by. My name is Azu the Bard, and I'm only one part of Bard and Raven. The other half of it, the Jamie Raven, is in chat. Today, our moderator and guardian of the chat. So be nice to her, and she's nice to you. We are Bard and Raven, as I've said. We are also Daggerheart creators. But today is not about us. Today is about someone else. But before we introduce our special guest today, I want to say that I have a co-host and co-interviewer today. It is a friend of ours, a beautiful person, and Heart of Daggers best-selling author, I must say. It is Jay from Jaybird Stream. Hello, Jay. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to do this.
I think it also might be the best-selling author.
Yeah, selling is a generous term, but according to the website,
you have an amazing,
that's where I'm at.
amazing winged gem on your Starbreaker.
Yes. Yeah, I don't have any winged gems.
Exactly, Carlos doesn't have it.
I'll work. I'll see if I can talk to my people and get that spread around a little bit more.
Amazing. All right. But Jay and I are only the side figures here, because today is all about one person. It is the self-proclaimed delightful human being, Carlos Cisco. Hello, Carlos. Welcome.
Generally delightful human being.
Generally.
Not all the time, just generally.
Generally delightful human being, of course.
Yeah. Hi, I'm happy to be here. Excited to share, Volume 3 with people and talk about it.
Oh yeah, I think I didn't mention this. Right, we are here to spotlight Carlos Cisco, but also PistolHeart Volume 3. I didn't say that until now. You can see it over here, right over here, this beautiful cover. You might already have seen that it came out yesterday. The third iteration of the PistolHeart series, and that's what we're here for. Let's begin. Let's stop all of this introduction nonsense. Let's go into the meat of things. Carlos, would you be? By the way, we have created a few questions that we will throw out and see where this leads us. Mm-hmm. But in general, we will have just a very relaxed discussion and see where all of this leads us. In general, we also want to highlight the design intentions of PistolHeart and specifically how Carlos designs these things, because this is so interesting to me, very juicy. But first question first. Carlos, could you maybe introduce yourself? Who are you? What is your base of operations? And what is your story?
Yeah, so, I feel, and we can link a couple of the places that I've sort of told the longer form story of this, but I've been designing games as mostly just a freelance professional for the past 5 years now. I've worked on games like Draw Steel, Candela Obscura, Triangle Agency, and then obviously Daggerheart. And then, many others. I did a bunch of, early collabs and stuff on the DMs Guild before that sort of went the way of the dinosaur in its, current form. And then, before that, I was a TV writer. I wrote for Star Trek Discovery. Then we had a little strike, and the sort of side hustle that I had in games became my hustle because the TV world is sort of dead right now. That's sort of the long and the short of it. And then PistolHeart just sort of was born out of looking at the landscape of what was offered in the third-party space, what wasn't being offered, and the sort of benefit of proximity that I had to the frame, even though I didn't own any of it, and so it was sort of one part calculating callous marketing decision, and another part genuinely because I love this stuff, right? Like I'm not going to sit there and pull teeth designing things that I hate. So, it was something I was like, oh, there is a need for this, and thus maybe I can make some money and, have a sort of independent cash flow. And then also, this is fun to design. This is all stuff there wasn't the bandwidth to do in the core book, and it's all stuff that I think GMs that are running Colossus wanted and or needed. Because reskinning is easy enough, but it's also nice to be able to show your players a Dracona and a cowboy hat. Like,
yes,
that's fun. So I wanted to, fulfill that fantasy.
And fulfilled you.
Well,
do.
we know.
Sorry.
Absolutely, you have. I'm biased. I've been running a Colossus of the Drylands game that has been slowly getting kind of consumed by PistolHeart content over time, as more and more of my players have been taking on different aspects of the PistolHeart subclasses. I just actually did the surrounded environment from Volume 2, which was a lot of fun in my last session. So I'm obviously immersed in the kind of stories that you're constantly building for. And speaking of that, we know now via your background and some of the other games that you've worked on, this kind of portfolio that you're building out over time. What kinds of stories or game mechanics inspire you as a creator?
Well, so I think so I come from designing 5e first. Like, that's sort of where I cut my teeth. And the thing that I always found sort of lacking in 5e in the way that monsters were, and adversaries were communicated, that I really sort of I remember from like the old second edition days that felt like it had a whole ecology section, and so you could really read on like the life cycle of a giant and shit like that. But like, I felt like there was never a way to marry those two things in a meaningful way. And then once I started working on Daggerheart, I was like, oh, this is literally that. This is the engine for sort of taking the thing that I want to describe as happening cinematically, and then sort of put that in, baked into sort of the mechanical language. And so I felt that, like, I guess like approaching it from that point of like, how can I sort of tell as much of a story and a narrative as expressed through the mechanics of play? Because then if you can marry those two things, I think you have something that's actually like a really special piece of design. Because I think it's easy enough to just create a raw mechanic, right? And have it be functional. But then if it's sort of like, can you build the flavor into the design? And if so, that to me is something really successful. And that's something when I'm like looking at design from other people, that stuff that, it makes me go like, oh shit, that's something I wish I designed.
Oh, definitely, I agree. And by looking over, by looking over PistolHeart, I can see that design intent so much that you don't. I mean, all of your adversaries and the environments are, of course, just flavor and story first, and then you come up with these mechanics that just enhance the narrative so much. And this is elegant design. I love this so much.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like it's an interesting thing, right? Because like in Daggerheart, you look at the core book, and I still wanted to honor this, like the sparseness of description, right? Like they're very Spartan in the way that like they're like, you get 1 to 2 sentences to describe an adversary. You get the 3 motives and tactics, and then everything else is on the features to sort of like give you an impression, sort of create an impressionistic painting in your mind about what this creature is, and then allows you to sort of fill in the blanks. Now, I think it's a little bit different with PistolHeart's case from core, because I'm trying to draw in a little bit more solid lines, because it is intentionally for a genre as opposed to being a sort of like a wide general use thing. Not that they can't be used in other genres and stuff like that. I think it's just as easy to reverse engineer my stuff into fantasy.
Oh, definitely.
But,
yeah. I was actually looking at. I mean, I just started a Age of Umbra mini campaign, and I will definitely steal one of your adversaries and bring them over. Just slightly reflavored, because it's just
which one?
so beautiful. Let's talk about this later, because I have some
Okay.
favorites that I want to point out. Little spoiler section. I'm a huge fan of the Enigmas. I just love them. Thank you so much for creating them.
Yeah.
My next question, since you already mentioned that you maybe started or at least have some experience in creating also for D&D. Now you're at Daggerheart. Do you have a favorite system? Do you how do you weigh these tools in terms of designing for them?
Well, right now, I think my favorite systems to design for are probably Daggerheart and Draw Steel, like because they fill different needs in my brain. Because while I love the narrative forward approach of Daggerheart, I'm like a tactical strategy kid through and through. Like I cut my teeth on 4X games like Civilization, Final Fantasy Tactics, Ogre Battle. Like all of those are things in my back catalog of things that I really love. And so, I love designing really crunchy stuff for Draw Steel because it also gives me the opportunity to do exactly what I'm saying in Daggerheart, but in an even more distilled form. It's like how can I create the flavor of this thing with literally just the name, and the effect, like, I got a number of adversaries in that book and a number of adventure stuff coming up in their encounters book, and then the acolytes. So they seem to think I'm doing a good job. But yeah, so I mean, I guess the things I like designing for the most are the ones that are currently paying me to design for them. But I think like out of all the things I've worked on, those two have been the ones that I probably like when I sit down and really get into it. I've had the most fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You touched on earlier how much the PistolHeart volumes stand out because they are directly immersed into genre. I know that Volume 3 is not all you have planned for PistolHeart, but looking into the future, is there a specific genre that you would like to really lean into in that same way?
Wait, so like you mean after PistolHeart?
Yeah. Or I mean with PistolHeart, but we can get into that a little later if you want to.
No. So after PistolHeart, I don't. I want to sleep first.
Okay. Yeah.
And then get the book out. No. I have a couple sort of post PistolHeart projects that I don't think are ready to quite announce yet, but of similar scope, but with maybe some other partners. So I'm not doing all the work. Coming down the pipe for some other stuff. Nothing sort of like big outside of it just yet that I can announce. Other than the, kind of the stuff I've sort of been hinting at. But
super cool.
All right.
Something with Mike.
Hell yeah. I would love to see that.
Yep.
You will.
So is the great. So this was a tease. This was not a question. This was a something with Mike for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wonderful. I've got a question. Do you use any kind of tools for your design work, or is this all just like get me any kind of writing tool and I just write down everything? What is your main go-to
in terms
approach?
of like what?
In terms of like designing,
like do I use like the adversary creators or anything like that?
Maybe, yes.
No. I take a template. I use a template that I've used since pretty much the beginning. And then I just sort of build it out in there. When I finish a stat block, I copy and paste that stat block, and that is the next stat block. So I do it very sort of, I don't want to say like old school, but like I just sort of, you know, kind of go as I go. And so that is why I require a good editor so that I don't leave anything, artifacts from previous stat blocks in things and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But no, I don't use any tools. I use Chris Davidson's
Oh yeah.
sheet just as a reference. So that's definitely something that, you know, if people are looking to homebrew, it's something to look at. Though I think that Hope and Fear has thrown some of those numbers into a bit of a tizzy. So I think there's probably going to be some revisions soon. But yeah, I mean, I think that my stuff is probably more closely aligned to balancing with core than it is with any additions from Hope and Fear so far.
Yep. Jay,
Yeah, are there sorry. In talking about like the tools that you use, we have that kind of covered, but like the way that you approach creating specifically adversaries, like are there like what are your trademarks in adversary design? I mean, I know one of them because you gave us a delicious little treasure hunt for it in some content that we were looking over. But what do you think of as your design trademarks for Daggerheart?
You know, I guess like in if I'm looking at like the whole of PistolHeart in relation to core, it's like I'm trying to sniff out every corner of design space that hasn't like that's covered in like dust balls or hasn't been touched in a while, and trying to sort of bring that out a little bit more, because I think that there are so many different like varying degrees of complexity tools that Daggerheart offers, and some of them are access more than others. And so I think that like that's one of the ways that I try to look at it is like, okay, where is there a gap in either design, and not like it's like it was an oversight by the design team. It's just like they are working on this aspect. There's, you know, this, that, or the other thing that they need to prioritize. But hey, there's like a little corner of this thing that is open to possibility, and that's where I tend to thrive. Because I'll freely admit, like I don't foresee myself as a game designer outside of like a group setting that could like bang out an entire game myself. Like I couldn't. That's not
Right.
you know. But I think in this is also sort of with TV writing. You know, I after watching my showrunner work, I suddenly had no ambition to be a showrunner and would rather be the second in the room that is sort of the one that is actually there every day writing and, you know, working with everybody. And I think that sort of like I work within the frameworks of a game really well. It's why I keep getting hired on a bunch of different games, right? Because I can look at the sort of voice of a game and be like, "Oh, this is what it's trying to say. This is how I want to say it in that voice." And that's sort of, yeah, kind of at least the way I've sort of abstracted my approach to you know, jumping to a bunch of different games, and then also sort of Daggerheart in general.
That makes perfect sense. The translation into game design as language, we talk about it so often, but like seeing that directly from writer to this game designer who has worked in so many different areas and been able to slot in so well, that clicked in my head just now. That makes perfect sense.
And it's like every showrunner, the way I was actually, you know, meeting with my old boss from Star Trek, and I was talking to her about this, and she knows like nothing about this world at all. But I was just sort of explaining that like when you're writing for a game, it's often like you're writing for a new showrunner for every game, because you really have to learn what are the things that sort of make this writing that person's writing, because the whole job is emulating the style of that thing to make it feel as cohesive to that sort of, you know, game design as possible.
Nice. You already alluded to this earlier, that you need a good editor to help you with your sometimes your raw design work. Also with PistolHeart, you're working with a number of people, also artists and such. Could you enlighten us? Who are these people, and what do you enjoy most in working with them?
I mean, like all my artists, Michelle, Carrie, Ash, Per, like they're just, I mean, they're all credited in there. They've just all been really amazing partners throughout the whole process. I haven't had to give a lot of notes to people. And I think that the first round sort of like I was like, okay, this is how I'm learning how to sort of give direction a little bit better. The second time around, everything got a little bit smoother, and then the third time around, I pretty much got what I wanted on the first ask, and had to, it was like small detail note, like add this, that, or the other thing, like add an antenna to the top of the alien's little glass casing and stuff like that. Like, it was very small. And then similarly, I also picked up InDesign and learned how to input the stat blocks myself from the templates that Luna built, so that I wouldn't have to ask Luna to do that every time, like to go in and make the, when inevitably 100 people look at it and, 10 of them on the same day message me about a typo, I can go in and fix it now.
Yeah.
So, the process, it's been a learning process and a learning curve for me from, volume 1 to volume 3, but it's getting smoother. And I want to say it's getting cheaper, but things are getting cheaper only in the sense that I can now have more things. So nothing gets cheaper. Everyone just gets more.
Yeah. The space just continues to fill.
Yeah. Bloat.
Neat.
But I ain't mad. I'm proud of everything that's in there. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think in addition to the collaborators you have on the layout and the editing side, I also think a huge like unsung hero of which you do sing it, but of the series in my eyes is the commitment that you have to playtesting all of your material pretty rigorously before the publishing process begins. What lessons have you learned over the course from volume 1 to now about that playtesting process?
Do it more. If you can,
more every time, more
get more. Just like
Yeah.
more data, ask more people. Like
Mhm.
I've widened my net of people who are playtesting for me and stuff like that. And I think like it's one thing for me to run it myself. It's a whole nother thing for someone to take my stat block, look at the words that I've written, and try to run it rules as written,
Yeah.
right? Without their own interpretation. Albeit, they might have to sort of fill in a gap that they don't understand in the moment. But, for the most part, that's like knowing what someone else is doing when they run it is so, so invaluable.
Yeah.
And so if anybody is designing stuff or wants to break into design, the biggest difference that you'll see is playtested material versus unplaytested material, and it's really easy to spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge. I think in like, where was I going with that? Hang on. I don't know. Azu, you go ahead. I lost my train of thought.
That's
my
all
train
right.
of thought got robbed to keep it on theme.
Mm-hmm. Derailed.
Yeah.
Derailed. Let's see. I actually wanted to go now into PistolHeart, the newest volume. The third of, I think 4 are planned, right? 4 is the final volume, or did you plan more?
Yes, though I think there's one, I would say, sort of DLC planned mid-cycle of the once the SRD is updated, I want to put out the subclasses for the Assassin, Brawler, Witch, and Warlock, which are still sort of in the midst of playtesting, but should be fully baked here pretty soon. Jay's tried out the Witch, I believe.
Yes, the Witch.
Yeah,
and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Nice.
And so I'm excited. Carrie Peach is doing the art for those again, and yeah, and so that's going to come, and then I still sort of percolating on how and when it's going to take shape, but I'm going to be working on a sort of, collaborating on not a quick start adventure, but sort of a PistolHeart, tier 1 starter adventure with Jack Panic. So
you do?
We're gonna do a little.
Gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, we're gonna do a collaboration for later this year. We don't have like, we're both very busy, so we're just like, how can we fit this in? In our cycle. But the thing that I'm looking at is, I have all these assets with the Pistol Heart art and stuff like that, which makes the job on Jack easier. And then there's a lot of, I think, really cool and novel design approaches that Jack takes that I don't even think of at all. Like I see his stuff and I'm like, damn, that's a really cool and efficient bite-sized way to do that. And so we're still sort of drumming out exactly how it's going to be, but it's definitely going to be like, co-written by us, but sort of set within the Pistol Heart milieu.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm a huge Jack Panic fan, and a collaboration between you and Jack. Oh, this fills my heart. Thank you so much. But let's go back to the presents and not. I want to stay in the future. Futureland is amazing. Anyways, PistolHeart
so much coming.
Volume 3. Yes, PistolHeart Volume 3. You already see, or everyone in chat already sees the cover. This is not Western. This is space Western now. You brought you brought space and sci-fi to Western. This is so cool. Do you want to maybe give a little bit of insight into how did this cover come to life?
Oh, so those are the cosmic adversaries there, and people. I've been fielding a few questions for a few people about why Alien in Western, why that. And I mean, I'll say there is only one movie that has combined them, and personally, it's not one of my favorite movies. That's Cowboys vs. Aliens.
Yes.
I don't think that's necessarily a great example of that. Though actually, there's two movies. Prey is another sci-fi Western, and that movie absolutely fucks. But I spent a lot of time in New Mexico growing up. My mom still lives there, and anybody who spent any amount of time in New Mexico, but the Southwest in general, knows that the sort of roadside culture of extraterrestrial visitation and stuff is a very, very real thing to a lot of people out there. And so it was, a little bit of that, wanting to sort of honor those, but also I just wanted to get a little bit weirder with I didn't want like guys with guns again for tier 4. So you have a green guy with a gun, a gas guy with a gun, and I don't know, that other guy with a really oblong head.
Yeah.
Not a gun. But yeah, so that was sort of those are the things. But I'll show you the inspiration for it was actually this cover right here. It's the old second edition AD&D Monster Manual. And so when I was commissioning the art, this is sort of, I had a sort of combination like this in mind for the cover. And then I wanted sort of that smoke effect disguising the amalgam behind it as something like, oh no, there's something big and terrible in the smoke.
I wanted to ask this. Who is this shadow? But you got it.
Yeah. And then so Luna did the cover. She basically just made it like a 3D model with the lighting and all that, and then set it all up. So
it's a beautiful color.
Luna definitely also one of the, I think, unsung heroes of Pistol. No, I sing Luna's praises all the time, but the book would not be the same without Luna's layout. So
definitely,
it is gorgeous. Well, I feel like we're already on the topic of getting into the book and talking about some of the cosmic stuff. I know both from your background and just I just loved it, like flipping through this book the first time. We have Odo in Pistol Heart now with the Cosmic Infiltrator. I mean,
can you wait? Which tier was this? Please remind me, then I can scroll in there.
Tier 4.
All the way on
Cosmic
the
Infiltrator.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the Enigma for the Cosmic group.
Oh, right.
And it is both just like delicious and so good on its own, but also as that nod back to Volume 2 with the Flim Flam Mogul art was just fantastic. I love it.
This is actually something I learned in Star Trek. It's called amortizing.
Neat.
No, but I mean, we laugh, but that literally is something I learned. I was like, oh, when you get reduced down from a 13 to a 10 episode order, everything you buy becomes more expensive because you can use it across less episodes. And so I was like, I didn't have any art for this infiltrator. And so I was like, what can I do, to sort of do this in an efficient way? And I was like, oh, using something that people would recognize from Volume 1 that is now gooped.
Yeah, it's a fantastic adversary. That one I love. I mean, I love all of your adversary groups. I'm a huge fan of adversary groups in general. It's just a way of like narratively framing why these people are working together, and then being able to explain that via the mechanics, and the cosmic stuff. My players are gonna be in for a twist when we get to tier 4. I'm gonna be throwing that in.
You have to find a way to bring them in earlier. Just scale them down. Throw them at them.
Like, you guys find the Colossus gun. We kill all the Colossi and get into tier 4 immediately, and then it's aliens.
Yeah,
definitely. Any other?
Yeah, and I think I've said this in a couple places. They were also the Cosmic were also sort of a nod to the original draft of Colossus, which was much weirder than the sort of combined effort that after Rowan's pass, which I think grounds it a lot more, and frankly I think makes it a lot better. Mine was way goofier and weirder, and had like a whole washed up Power Rangers organization in it that was trying to build a Colossus Megazord from parts, and so there was like a bunch of weird shit in it that was left on the cutting room floor. But I think ultimately sort of leaning into the more grounded Red Dead meets Shadow of the Colossus vibe ultimately is going to resonate with more people than sort of my weird.
Yeah. Is there any chance of getting them eventually back or out?
The original draft? No.
No, I mean
that's all in the Darrington vault
on
forever.
On the cutting room floor. I mean, these Power Rangers with their Megazord.
The thing that I would love to see revitalized somehow is all of the location work that I did in the beta, like the Rime of the Colossi, the Jindalia, Soul Sunk Sea. All those locations were I really, really fell in love with all of them, and so like I would love to see those somehow come back. But we'll see.
Speaking of locations, in PistolHeart, you have locations for your setting. Wait, let me navigate over there. Oh wait, these are not. Anyways, you do have drop-in locations, like ready-made locations, also with NPCs. Sorry, with ready-made adversaries, which is so cool. I love that so much.
Yeah, I mean, I hope those are useful for people. I think that people get varying degrees of usefulness out of drop-in locations and stuff like that. But I think that like there's so little in the frame in terms of like what's out there in that world, other than like the 3 or 4 sort of settlements that they detail, which I think to Daggerheart's credit is sort of part of the intent, right? Like you're supposed to go out and craft it, but I think some GMs are like, oh, it'd be really nice to just have a town that I can like throw in and has 3 basic triangles of conflict in it or something like that I could sort of key into, because that's like I think the only reason that a location should exist is because it's going to create conflict, right? Like it's going to create story and narrative. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Like it's just okay, I'm narrating it in this environment versus me narrating it in this environment, but there's really no bearing on anything with that, so I think like if there's not an inherent problem, not necessarily to be solved by the players, but problem for the players, because of the players, anything like that, like then a place has a reason to exist. So that's what I was sort of trying to create with those, is like, oh, what's something someone can throw in and immediately there's conflict introduced.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of conversation going on right now about like what adventures for Daggerheart should or could or will look like. And I think a useful middle ground that we're seeing is stuff like these landmarks that have those adventure seeds in them, and then they detail your NPCs. I love that these also have little questions. Obviously, the collaborative world building questions have been such a hit for the adversaries and environments in Daggerheart. But I love that the NPCs have questions as well as hopes and fears to kind of give them a two-pronged motive you can immediately play off of. And I think for a lot of GMs who are kind of starting to gravitate towards a game like Daggerheart, these are going to be the kind of things that we see them taking on as building blocks to iterate over and over again, and seeing that become kind of their adventure creation, pathway, for lack of a better word. I love Crunchy's field so much. I love the visually, the touches with the cards and the grit and texture that they have feels so immersive to me. And the NPCs and stuff. So I highly recommend when you download Volume 3, go check out Crunchy's field. It's a really cool one.
My recommendation is the first one, the old God's Organ, which is basically a mountain range that, by having wind blown through it, sounds like an organ. It's just really cool.
Yeah, so that's based off of the Organ Mountains in Las Cruces, which are named because they have sort of like a organ top sort of peaks like that. So that's, it's all coming from somewhere.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to, maybe I can find this.
And maybe there's cannibals in there.
Yeah, we have cannibals in Volume 3 as well.
Oh my god.
And there's a feature.
The hills have eyes.
Yes, they are so good. Let me go find that guy. I love the Hillfolk Marrow Drinker especially. This is a tier 3 group for those who aren't following along with your books. If you are, turn to page 14. And
14, I would do that.
I love the my flesh your flesh reaction that just brings that frenzy token up anytime that they get that severe damage. Immediately, they all kick into gear. It's so cool.
Yeah, I felt like I was I was looking back through stuff and I'm like, I'm using a lot of tokens in this volume, but I think it's good because I think I did a lot of countdowns and with the investigations and stuff in volume 2, and I think sort of now pushing things in sort of wider directions with the tokens and what those can sort of mean for this. I do think that sort of my design is burdened with a heavier cognitive load than the core design. Like that is just, I tend to just be a little bit more extra. And those are also my design inclinations. So I think that, PistolHeart is like complexity 4 or 5 in terms of what this stuff is going to be adding to a frame. Because I don't think that some of these things are, they have some interesting sort of interactions that if you're not looking at them as a group, you're not going to really understand the full scope of what they can do or how you can use them. And I didn't have the benefit of pool for this one. I was going to pools.
They didn't tell me about pools.
I worked on Drakkenheim, so that's out in the open. So I've been able to see some of the stuff from Hope and Fear before everyone else, but I'm not allowed to sort of use that until it's able to be used. So I'm looking forward to seeing how down the line, if when Hope and Fear come in, there might be some sort of back patches to some of the groups to add pools in there if I feel like they need it. Take advantage.
The one that I think it's the feature that was introduced in the book that you're most excited to play around with in PistolHeart?
I'm really excited for evolutions. I got some of that in the works, I think, as well for volume 4. I really like it because I think I love phase changes. I think it's such an epic way to approach bosses, but I do think there is a more granular approach that feels a little bit smaller. That is oh no, this is just the super fearsome elite version of this, this thing that I think the evolutions really enable us. And it's really nice because it's modular enough that you could put it on literally any base or core adversary. You could add an evolution to it and really just jazz it up.
That is true. I also wanted to highlight one of my favorite adversaries from this book. Let me go back, which is, of course, an enigma, Maverick, the second enigma of the book. We already had a look at the first one, and this guy is all about like information brokering, and there's a really cool feature. Was it? Yeah, exactly. Secret Keeper. I love this. Where the Maverick knows the secret about the PC. They don't want the others to know. Spend a fear to make each player write the secret on an index card and hand them to you. This is very simple, but I love this flavor-wise so much. And you play around with these secrets later. Also, I think it was in an environment where you have the secret stranger and the campfire. This is so cool. I love this.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this now, and I'm like, I didn't bold the S on Spend a Fear of Maverick's Gambit, so found the first typo.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I will fix.
Putting those InDesign skills to the test.
Yes.
Yep. See, I'll screw everything up in the export. Luna, fix it for me.
Carlos, do you have a
favorite? The Maverick, I really wanted to. This one jumped around tiers a lot, actually, in terms of design. But the nice thing about the Maverick is it doesn't really have a lot going on in terms of like, it's more of a social adversary, so it's pretty easy to scale its difficulty up or down depending on where you need it. But I think my favorite part of it is that its attack is bodyguard.
Yeah.
It's the guy standing over there that attacks you, not him. So yeah, I had that as like an action earlier, and then I was like, no, this guy doesn't even get up from the table if the fight breaks out.
That's awesome. That's so good.
So yeah.
Sorry, Ozzy, you were gonna ask something?
I just wanted to ask if you have a favorite adversary or environment. We haven't talked much about the environments yet, but time is running short, and I also want to go to some of the questions from chat. I already have a long list of chat questions, so we will get there eventually.
All right, so we're going to go through, I'll just do my favorite one, bang it up by tier, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Tier 1, City Slicker is the most nefarious fucking social villain I think I will ever create. And the adventure that Jack and I are working on is planned specifically around an escort mission of the worst person ever.
Nice.
Keep the City Slicker alive. And then tier 2, I think my favorite one is the Sawbones, actually. The social adversary that's the doctor that you can use to sort of create an outbreak at a settlement, and then you have to work with the doctor to help solve the outbreak. So it's less of an adversary, it's kind of more of an ally, but sort of it creates a narrative problem around itself that you have to help solve. So that's my favorite one for tier 2. For tier 3, this one's tough. The Hand of the Plague. I love something that really sucks for the PCs. Like I'm a tier 3 or type 3 type of fun. Like I like the fun to hurt a little bit, and I like the idea that, oh shit, I contracted an infectious disease that is gonna make me die. 6 long rests if I don't solve this problem, because it's about creating conflict, right? And that sort of like is going to derail the entire story because you're going to have to solve that problem, which to me is good, because that's going to come up at the worst possible moment for the heroes if you're playing your cards right as a GM. And also you can make really life like that one
really hard for your friends, because when you infect your friends, it's only a D4, right? Or a countdown of 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And then for tier 4, it's got to be the Grafter. I think the most fun in playtesting that people had were the people at tier 4 who min-maxed their characters for playtesting, who had their traits reversed. I was worried about that because I thought people would be like, this sucks. Everything sucks for me. But people thought it was such a fun problem to solve, to be, I'm this agility-based ranger and suddenly all I have is presence to work with.
Yeah.
What do I do? And actually, he was the one who got run over by the amalgam. So the presence actually is the thing that saved him from getting integrated. So it worked out.
That's actually, I hope none of my Edge of Umbra players are here. I mean, I know my partner is, but it's fine. This is the one that I wanted to downscale a bit, but still use and bring up in my Age of Armor campaign, and just to mess with them. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. Well, see, I think downscaling, it's, this is an interesting one, because I think if you downscale it, the cost for swapping back is going to be much, much lower. And so it's not going to have that same effect. So if you're doing downscaling that would be sort of my advice with that. If you want it to have the same impact, you may need to tack on a little bit more of a hope rider for that. Otherwise, it's going to be like 1 to 2 hope difference, you know, and that's like, whatever, that's 2 good rolls. So that would just be the one thing I would say to sort of advise in that. But that is a good note I may have for the book when I actually, because like with the guidance, like I can give you my playtest guidance, but I'm going to hear from people for a good 3 or 4 months before I, get into the sort of final leg of this journey. And that's going to affect, I think I'm going to be doing some rewriting of the guidance down the line for the full edition, because I'm also learning the more I play with this stuff. Yeah.
Amazing. Just real quick, environments, of course. I could spend ages in the like discussing all of the environments. But it is a tier 1 environment, but High Noon is just like
we needed it, right?
Yes, exactly. You put so much effort into just having this one scene, this one standoff between two people, and it is the small stat block, but it's so full of flavor, and it's just amazing. I love that.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a fun one. Again, I think it's one that's super easily scalable. So that you can make it appropriate for any tier that inevitably someone's going to get in a duel with, right? And there's real consequences for failure. The original draft, you straight up died and didn't get to make a death move if you rolled with fear. But I was like, Carlos, think about the player base. They won't like you. I always
speaking of
go to the
murder,
extreme on the first draft.
I mean, I think what better to do than to just get all the ideas on the page and see what you can get away with. Speaking of murder, I love the murder on the casino train.
Yes.
Given, I mean, like a 1-shot, maybe even a 2-shot like adventure that I can
honestly
just have this going on the whole time.
It takes about 4 hours to run that thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So there's your whole evening. There's your session.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
That's actually, in talking about, before I know we got to go to questions, but in talking about my approach, that's also something that I try to do in my environments is like, how can I make something that is going to be like a 2-hour boutique experience? That's what the cattle drive is. That's what, this is a much longer one, depending on how you handle the investigations. The combination of the, what is essentially fulfilling your Oregon Trail over hunting fantasies with the Great Plains, the Cosmic Crash, that takes about 2 hours if you don't run it without any combat. And if you throw in some cosmic adversaries in there, you have a whole night. So I think like that's been largely my approach. I think that like there's the smaller environments that are a little more, general use, like Surrounded, like boom, that's like we have that's good for the encounter. High Noon, we're gonna have that can be resolved in 30 minutes, and then some role play. So the chases, those go by very fast. It's sort of like, let's just get to it, right? Like a few rolls and then we've either caught up or they've gotten away. And I think that so I really like the larger environments that I've been making because they are essentially half shots or 1 shots depending on how long you have.
I love this kind of environment design. I also want to get better in that, to just have like one environment that is a complete full 1-shot. So much fun.
Well, I think it's worth noting too, for everybody that's looking at this stuff, and also because we have Hope and Fear right now, that the disparity of the releases. Like I worked on Hope and Fear before I touched PistolHeart at all. And so everything that is built in PistolHeart is built on the foundation of the work that I did in Hope and Fear. So like that is in a sense, a 1-step evolution. Granted, I didn't have all the tools because like, I was a little siloed off, but like it's anything that I learned in Hope and Fear went into PistolHeart as well. So I'm a big fan of that book too.
Yeah. Same with us. My partner and I, we just this morning finally got our copy of our pre-order copy of the deluxe version, and we were like opening
I
it
don't have my
ceremoniously.
contributor copy yet.
You don't?
I'm still waiting. It's coming after Gen Con.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, anyways,
y'all paid money. Y'all paid money.
Yeah.
I got paid, so it's fine.
Okay, fair. I don't feel bad anymore.
That's a fair deal, I guess.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just to real quick finish up everything that is in PistolHeart, because we only touched on the locations, adversaries, and environments, but there's much more. I will just quickly go over them. Wait. I'm skipping through a few pages right now because we also have a couple of armors and consumables, and I don't go into detail, but I just want to say my favorite consumable maybe ever is the paper horse. How amazing is this? A origami horse that can become a full mount for you. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe just me. I love that.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff. There's magic saddles
yes.
that you can get for all kinds of, especially if you're playing one of the PistolHeart subclasses, which all have those mounted capstone features in their mastery. Get to play all kinds of cool scenes. Also, there's two mounted environments in Volume 3. And then what am I forgetting? Infusions. There's a whole new item type in Volume 3 as well.
Yeah, I would say it's like a feature, right? Like it's a feature that you can layer onto, your greatsword or whatever. And it's something sort of that I had played around with throughout the development cycle, but then sort of, this is sort of my own take on, like a Valor touched item, like the card. And so it's sort of playing again with your hand combination, your loadout combination, and because you're always going to have 3 and 2 or 4 and 1. Like you're always going to have an uneven combination, and so I thought, oh, this is an interesting way to sort of take that and then add on like a little bit of juice to that. That's like, oh, I'm a heavy Arcana build sorcerer. I get this little thing on an amulet, and now it just makes that first time I do something really nice in a scene, So it's like, it's encouraging people to take actions in, I think, a lot of ways, because it's like, oh, I'll get to benefit from this thing if I act.
Yeah, super cool. I love it.
And a last edition of PistolHeart is you started a little section at the end of PistolHeart that I just love this. I just love that you went the route to uplift community members and show their work here in PistolHeart. You have three little extra pages in the end from different creators, and all of them created something.
Are you,
So what?
Not biased at all, are you, Ozzy?
What? No, I don't know what you mean. I think there are 2 great community spotlights in there, and one that we can completely brush over. But yeah, we have one here from Philomena.
All right, sorry, Etten guys. I know you're in the chat.
No,
Ozzy called
it. Now we ran out of time.
No. So, like, listen, I think like it's also squidgy because like I know the conversation around frames and IP and being able to create stuff is a sort of hot button issue here. And so I also understand the value of holding onto your brand and IP. And so it's not something that I'm not necessarily wanting to open up PistolHeart as like a thing that people can make just a PistolHeart thing. But like there's enough people out here that are playing with PistolHeart and are doing things for their own games and that, have become online friends and colleagues of mine that will share those things with me. And I look at those things and I'm like, hey, that's fucking cool. Like, I would use that in my own game. And so like I also recognize like I have a sort of like privilege of proximity because of my work on the core game. And so I also wanted to, I'm a firm believer, no matter what industry you're in, if the door has been opened for you, you have a responsibility to kick it open for people behind you. And so this is my effort to get some stuff that I thought was genuinely cool noticed. Some people who I think are doing good work in the community noticed, and so yeah. So it's something I'm happy to do. It's something I'm going to continue to do. Jay and I have a conversation about something that's going to come in Volume 4, somewhere probably next week. And yeah, there's a few other people that I've sort of prodded to send me something for some future releases, because I just think it's like it's smart business for all of us, right? Like people are making things that are interesting for PistolHeart that other people might want to use, or that are sort of adjacent to it. Because what it also does is creates a permission structure for people's own home games to create stuff that is adjacent to PistolHeart. Like, you don't need to rely only on me. Like, you can also make this stuff, but also rely only on me. But I think so. Yeah, yeah, I'm happy to do it, and it's something that I hope other people will start doing if their work starts inspiring people to create work that is adjacent to their work. Like, I don't necessarily expect people to put in an ad for someone else's product in all of their things, but I think like if another creator is like, hey, I loved this mechanic, this is my take on it. If it looks good, why not? It's just extra stuff, and it costs me literally nothing to feature this stuff.
Yeah.
All of these things were done by these pages were done by the creators themselves, and so I just see it as like, this is a cool thing. Philomena made a spaceship that people can pilot after they've completed the Cosmic Crash environment. Great. Azu, you took advantage of the Enigma rules and made a corpse bee. Great. I think the Entertainment guys improved the investigation mechanics by distilling it down to an environment. Like legitimately, I think it's better. So,
by the way, the Ettins are both in chat, and they say a huge thank you to you.
Yeah, well, thank you to you guys. I think it's super cool, and like looking at it, I was like, shit. So yeah, no, I think I hope it drives sales. Like, I hope it moves the needle for people, because I know that like the returns on our investment in this space are very small, if any. So I would encourage people to go and check out the work done by these other creators and pick up their stuff. Both Azu and the Ettin guys criminally underpriced their stuff, but that's their business. I think everybody should raise their prices a little bit. I know times are tough, but it's tough for creators too.
You are so right.
Yeah, that's my soapbox.
All right, Jay, do you have any urgent question that you want to ask? Otherwise, I would jump into some chat questions.
I was going to say, let's just give some space to the chat, because I do know we have a lot of people who we've been talking about in the chat, and I'd love to hear from them as well.
Yes. The first question, basically, I mean, you already teased it yesterday on the Heart of Daggers server. After today's panel from the Daggerheart Next panel, where we got the information that the core rulebook campaign frame mechanics are coming to the SRD, and with it also the Colossi building mechanics. There's a question: can we have a spoiler on possible future Colossi for Carlos? Oh, from you, Carlos. Maybe a word describing one of them.
Listen, let's let me bring it up real quick. Let's see if I can quickly just come up with a few sort of spoilerable ones. Well, we have one we can share, and I'm happy to sort of we could show that one in the thing or not, but yeah, we can. Let's throw that one on screen, because this is the most basic one, but it's Puralu, the Mother of Tunnels, which is the mother of all boreworms, that creates a giant migration event around it, making it impossible to approach from the ground. So you have to figure out a creative way to get onto its back from not the ground. And the fun little twist on this is, and we'll not get into the full mechanics, but the idea is that there are giant fins on two of the body segments that make it almost impossible to damage, but also give you cover, kind of like in the sniper environment. Because every time it takes the spotlight you're going to take damage if you don't have cover. So it's the risk and reward of, do I go out and damage the segment, or do I hide under cover and not? And then, once you damage the segments, you can get on the head and kill it. But so that's that one. We have something once suplexed, now unsuplexable.
Amazing.
Perhaps the most unintentional of cartoon villains.
Oh, these! I hope people are writing down these spoilers, and then then we can have a little brainstorm session what this could be later on.
The love child of the angel Ramiel from Evangelion, and Unicron from the 1986 Transformers movie.
Oh, I do know Evangelion, but I don't know the last one. But that's cool.
It carries a world on its back.
Yep, just what you do.
And then the last one is kick Kefka in the teeth, or the end of everything.
I love that. Amazing.
Perfectly done.
Yep.
But yeah, so there's 6 planned right now. I could do more, but there's like 32 stat blocks between them.
I mean, those are chunkers.
Yeah. When I started off, I was like, I'll do 6, and then I was like, oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So to that, I actually had to cut environments from Volume 4 because I was building so much on the Colossi, and there were still environments that I hadn't fully fleshed out and built yet. But that was sort of in the calculation when I did that survey, right? Like, I was like, do people want Colossi? Yes. At what cost? Other things, because word count is word count and budget is budget, right? So, it's. I think in a sense it's more. You're getting way more, even though it's sort of probably. If I were doing environments, there would probably be 10 to 15 more environments than there are going to be. But now there are 6 Colossi, which are beefy.
Yeah.
I mean, a Colossi
I think in terms
even
of
be...
like
oh,
how much.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in terms of mileage, in play, I would have to do the numbers on it, but I think you're like double or triple the amount of sessions that you can use this thing for with a Colossus. I know you're not using the stat blocks in every single session, but like that presence, the hunt phase is going to be so prominent that I would take that over 4 environments pretty much every time.
Yeah, so I think we'll see how people like them. I think the ones I've tested so far have gone pretty well, but there's still a few that remain untested. But yeah.
All right, just because I saw this in chat right now, will there be an Enigma Colossus?
I haven't built an Enigma Colossus. However, what I'll say is the way that I'm pushing the Colossi is there are many Colossi that combine environment stat blocks or are composed entirely of environments. In the case of one that you have to go into to kill. And then I have one that starts off as a solo and becomes a Colossus when you defeat the first phase of it. So, and some maybe non-traditional ways of killing some of these Colossi. So I don't have any like investigations per se tied to them.
I mean, a Colossus already is a huge investigation, so.
Yeah. So I haven't done any of that because I think like I'm still sort of making sure all the stat blocks are holding together with the duct tape and spit that I have right now.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, one of the questions that has come up a lot, actually. I think you mentioned it, that you were also maybe looking into a print run for PistolHeart once PistolHeart 4 is out. Is there a rough ETA on that when a bundled
Next
PistolHeart book?
year.
Next
I don't
year?
know. It's sort of I gotta get 4 out of the out of the hopper, and sort of they're all predicated on the success of the previous one. And so once Pistol Heart Volume 3 starts seeing some returns on it, and I can recoup my costs, that's when I can start paying people again to produce Volume 4. If things sort of continue on the same trajectory, hopefully by December or November is when Volume 4 will be out. But I can't sort of make any promises yet because I'm still playtesting a lot of it. So I think I got a little slowed down on my playtesting in the last month or so, just because I had been doing it so much that I kind of burnt myself out and needed to take a step back, work on some of my other stuff that I need to do, and also finish out, building out these colossi. So I think the rapidity between 2 and 3 is due to a lot of stuff from 2 and 3 shifting between the two during playtesting. Stuff that was more fully baked made it into Volume 2, and stuff that needed another round or two waited until Volume 3 for a lot of it. And so that's not going to necessarily be the case with 4. It's kind of set now, and 4, I don't do any adversary groups. I'm sort of I rounded that out with this one, and I wanted to sort of cast a much wider net of adversary types and sort of Western tropes and things that make it weirder, like angels made of bullets, and stuff like that. In the last one, it's more cryptids and things like that, like the ball-tailed cat. It's like, I'm pretty sure people just saw an ankylosaurus skeleton and just assumed it was a cat. But yeah.
Wonderful. I've got a question that neatly jumps onto what you mentioned with the playtesting, that some things sometimes need more playtesting. What is the biggest difference between playtested and non-playtested material, and how can you tell?
I mean, I can almost tell just reading the language. It's like it's weird. There's like a lack of confidence in itself oftentimes, I think, because it's like the unplaytested stuff is usually a first or second draft that you're seeing, because people they get excited about a thing and they want to just put it up, and it's the first thing that the first tell is like, are you within the bounds of style? Because I'll even say I'm imperfect sometimes with like my approach to Daggerheart style, and I think sometimes the language leaves some sort of questions out in the open for people without a fully fleshed out style guide available to us. But nice. Now my train of thought is derailed. What was the question again?
How can you tell playtested from non-playtested material?
So yeah, I think like there is a bit of an unfinished quality. The first thing, again, like is the style. Like if I see saving throw, first of all, I know you haven't done your homework, but I know you haven't play tested, because that is not going to come up in play. And so I think like those are easy indicators of things, but it gets a little harder, I think, when you're looking at maybe player-facing stuff. Adversaries, I tend to find it's a little easier, but that's and it's not something I can sort of articulate so much as like I just have an eye for it at this point. I could just look at something and be like, that needs, whether it's been play tested or not, I can tell if something immediately needs more baking time, and whether that's just another pass of the designer or they need to go through a couple rounds of play testing to sort of like really examine what that thing does. Like, and this is, I'm not going to sort of, name any names, but I was working with one of the mentees, and I kept coming back to a question of like, what does this ability look like? Because what I was hearing is like, it's going to evoke this, that, or the other thing, but none of that was in the feature. So I was like, okay, well, how do we marry that intent with what the language is here? And so, I think it's underbaked concepts, because like I think something that's really clear and play tested, or at least at the very least well written, is gonna tell me exactly what is happening on a mechanical level, followed by what is happening cinematically, if it is not enough to communicate with simply the feature name and the, conditions, damage type, all of that you're doing. You may need another sentence, but I think that like unplay tested stuff tends to be really overwritten, because it's trying to account for every iteration, and you just have to sort of write the cleanest version of it and hope that people approach it in good faith. Yeah.
That was a great answer. I like that. To wrap up the questions from chat, I have a long list of questions, so I'm very, very sorry to everyone in chat whose questions I could not go to, but we are slowly wrapping up today's session. But one more thing, and I throw two questions at once at you, and you can decide which one you answer, or you answer both, whatever you like. If there would be one thing in a Daggerheart adversary stat block that you could change, which one would it be? And since the campaign frame mechanics are coming to the SRD, is there any mechanic, any particular campaign frame mechanic that you would like to explore in future supplements from yours?
Like, so with the first one, is like a core adversary, like what I would change about its design?
I think it's more about the stat blocks itself. Just like a common formatting thing that you would want to sharpen up or change.
I don't know if I would change anything. I mean, I think like the thing I like about Daggerheart stat blocks is the sort of very Spartan nature of them. They don't need a lot. Like they just need to communicate the information they need to communicate, and they, as briefly and as concisely as possible. So I don't know if I would change anything with the format of the stat blocks, if that's the question.
Yes, I think it was in regards to the format.
I mean, I would commit to momentum being a passive. That would be the biggest, like, that's the only mechanical change I would like make in a, that I can commit to right now. And then what was the second question?
The second question, if you're excited about a campaign frame mechanic that will soon be in the SRD that you would want to explore in future publications of yours.
I would love to, and this might be something that I integrate into the full volume, when and if. But I think I would like to write some guidance about how to marry the liminal clues and hunts in Andaluria with the investigation mechanics. I think that would be useful for people, because I think it's not necessarily an either or. You can sort of use both buckets, because I think they have slightly different uses. But the other frame mechanics, I don't think. I mean, I love cooking, just in real life, and so I think like a fun thing. I don't know if I will do this, like, so don't take this as like a announcement of things coming down the line. Like, I would love to do something that is sort of Beast Feast adjacent, like food based adversaries and stuff like that, like the foie gras that eats you and things like that. I think would be a fun, goofy type of book that, pun intended, would be very easy for me to sink my teeth into. But no plans as of yet to sort of mess with the other frame mechanics. I think the hex crawl is interesting. I don't know what I would do with it yet. So yeah, if that answers that.
Yes, that does. And I think that wraps it up for today's Spotlight Hour. That is actually more than an hour and 20 minutes. Whatever. Carlos, it was such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much, Jay, also for co-hosting and being my interview partner here. I love that so much.
Thanks
Carlos,
for having me.
Of course, gladly. Carlos, if you want to shout out anything, anyone, please, this is your stage.
I mean, really, the thing I have to shout out right now is PistolHeart. Buy my book. No, I think most of the people in this chat probably have. So thank you for buying my book. And yeah, there's more to come. I hope go check out the community spotlight stuff. Check out those pieces in there and what people are offering up, because I am not the only game in town.
That is correct.
Don't buy Mike's stuff. It's very good.
Yeah.
Mike's stuff. Don't buy Mike's stuff. Buy my stuff.
Mike can't defend themselves.
Mike and I do have a very casual, friendly rivalry with that going. That Mike is always winning, just because I'm like, well, your stuff is general use.
Oh no,
mine's boutique.
Amazing, Jay.
No, but you check out Mike's Patreon, and I know he has the Adventure Atlas coming out too soon, or they have that coming out soon, which is I'm very excited about. Mike, outside of the core team, I think Mike is probably the strongest Daggerheart designer out there, myself included.
Yeah, the two of you are legends.
I think there's some really,
sure.
I don't know about legends, but I am a niche micro celebrity in a very small pond.
Well, you're
legends are just shorter.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll take legend. No, but yeah, no, it was great to be here. Thanks for letting me jaw on about PistolHeart for a bit. It was fun. Yeah, if people have more questions, I'm around. I think people know where to find me. So, yeah.
True. Jay, anything from your side to finish up?
Go to jaybird.games. Done.
Plain and simple. Find Jay on jaybird.games. Yeah. Anyways, this closes it up. I had such a blast. Thank you so much, Jace. Thank you so much, Carlos. My name is Also the Bard. Thank you also, a huge thank to Jamie Raven, my partner in chat, for keeping this going and moderating. This was cool. I saw that there was a lot of interactions in chat, so I'm very happy about that. Thank you so much, everyone. You can await another Spotlight Hour, hopefully in the next 2-3 weeks. So keep an eye out for that. Leave a follow if you like, then you're not missing it. And that's it for today's Spotlight Hour. Have a wonderful rest of the day and a great weekend. And look out for more stuff from Carlos and Jay. See you around, folks.
And Azu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Include yourself.